saying, right? Does that sound like a difficult thing? I mean, if God wanted everybody to just understand it, you think he'd do it that way? Or you think he'd just say, you know what, flat out read it straight from beginning to end and it'll make perfect sense?
No. I think if you truly, in your heart is for God, you will take the time to learn it.
Exactly.
Dig deeper. Everybody gets that little introduction, but you have to want to know more to go down that path, to get to the true insight and understanding.
So what do you think God's reasoning would be for putting you in a position where you have to dig and you have to search and you have to put this on top of this, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is exactly how it is, straightforward, simple, just do it? What do we assume, just using our human understanding, what would we assume that his reasoning is for putting precept upon precept and kind of scattering?
Pay attention to the detail.
He wants you to pay attention to the detail. What else would be a reason?
It ain't for everybody.
It ain't for everybody, right? That thing, he's setting the what? He's setting the trap. Look what he say next.
For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
What's stammering lips? A stutter, right? That's like somebody coming up to you saying, right? That's difficult to understand. That prayer, he said, with stammering lips and a what?
In another tongue.
What's another tongue?
Spanish.
A different language, right? So that's like somebody coming up to you speaking Spanish or Korean or what's another language? German,
Japanese,
right? Hebrew, right? Coming to you speaking another language, you don't understand it. So how you going? What are you gonna say to that person? Somebody come to you, they serious. You can see it all in their face. They really trying to tell you something. What are you gonna say to them when they come up to you, speaking their language? I don't understand, right? You might ask the question, well, what are you trying to say to me?
Do a couple hand gestures.
Right? What are you trying to say? I don't get it. What are you trying to say? That's the same way we open up our book. A lot of us, right? Almost all of them, when we first start, what is God's purpose? We go buy other books, A Purpose-Driven Life, to try to figure out God's purpose for us. We don't look at his book. We go buy T.D. Jakes' book, right? To teach us about God's purpose for our life, right? But that's what we're looking for. We're trying to figure out, well, what is God? Let me use this book to tell me what God is trying to say to me, right? Because that's our interpreter. Right? Because we don't understand what he's trying to say. Now, these people are going to make a mess trying to understand because they don't understand what he's saying. Right? Because if they did, they'd tell you just to read the book. Right? Do it. There ain't no shortcuts. No quick way around. You have to go through the steps. Right? But this is what he's doing. He's purposely giving it to us in a way that we can't understand it. That it's difficult for us to understand. Right? And let's see his reasoning. So he said, with stammering lips and another tongue, he will speak to this people.
To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing.
Right?
Yet
but
they
what
would
happened?
not hear.
But he said they would not hear. Right? So what happened next?
But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little.
So you see, the word of the Lord, it stayed the same way it began, it stayed that same way with them. They didn't grow. And why?
That they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
What's a snare? A trap. He said the reason why, because they didn't hear, and I'm going to give it to you that way so it'll be a trap to you. Why do you think it's so many Christians, right? Biggest religion in the world. So many of them. And how many denominations do they have? Some people say 30,000 denominations. That's crazy. That's insanity. Right? They all read from the exact same book, come to a different conclusion, some way or another. But they all think they believe in the same God. Right? Because it's a trap. He's not sitting here trying to throw it out for the majority of people to get it. That's the biggest religion. That's the majority. Right? He's not sitting for the majority to get it. He's sitting it out there to trap the majority. Because how many he say was going to make it? He said few. Right? He told us it was going to be few. So that's why we start here every week. Right? We want to start here every week because we want to set ourselves up. It's difficult. Right? But we don't want to get discouraged because he told us it would be difficult. Right? He told us it would be something that we didn't understand initially. Right? He didn't tell us. Did he tell us in 3 years you'll get it? I didn't read that. Right? We don't read anything in the book where he put a time limit on it. For me, it might be a year. Right? For y'all, it might be 3 years. Right? But then for the other group, he got it in 6 months. Right? We all preach and teach and live and obey the same word, though. And that's the goal. Right? We learn from each other. Right? We teach one another. I know this, you know that. We come together, we both know both of those. And then we'll meet somebody else that can teach us the rest. Whatever the Most High God allows for our life. Right? It's important that we understand that. It's important that we had a heart to finish it through. Right? Otherwise, we end up making a mess. All right? Who's our example? Who is our example for speaking to people in a different language? right? In a way they wouldn't understand. Who was known for it? Yahushua, right? Jesus, right? He was known for it. What did he call it?
Parables.
Parables, right? He spoke to the people in parables, right? Let's go to Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 24 is going to be the end, about verse 45. It's Matthew chapter 24, about verse 45. We're going to learn another parable. What's the parable we learned last week?
Hint.
Oh, I got a hint. It was last week. That's the hint.
Something about a penny.
Huh?
I was about to say, I would have got it wrong. I was thinking about the wrong one. I should be ashamed of myself.
Not the berry penny, right?
No.
Oh.
The pot.
Oh, men, he brought men to work.
Yeah.
And he promised one of them the dollar in the morning, the penny, and then the other ones came later and later, and then one was only there for an hour, but he got paid the same amount that one that was there from like 6 a.m.
Absolutely. So what did that tell us? What did that parable teach us?
That he kept his word. He didn't.
What type of struggle you go through? If this struggle shorter than yours, y'all both inherit the same.
The flowers grow at different rates.
Exactly. All right, she hit us with another parable, didn't she? But no, it's all right. But that's accurate, right? That's accurate.
So on the time you plant the seed, you expect a different blossom at different times.
Right, and he's telling us as long as we get there, right? He said to the man, I'm here for an hour. He said, I'm here for an hour. Here go a penny, right? The first one, he only promised one group of people the penny though, and that was the first ones, right? The rest of them, he just said, I'll pay you what's right. Right? And so then the person that came last, they got paid when?
First.
So how you think the person in the back, the one that came there first, ended up getting paid last. So what do you think he had to do? He had to watch all these people get paid before him, getting paid the same amount. So he just know, when I get up there, I've been here all day. I just know I'm about to get like 7 pennies. He get the same 1 penny. So he looking like, what do you mean? The Most High God had to check him like, hold on now. What you trying to, your eye evil against me because I'm good, right? Because I agreed with you for a penny. You got exactly what I told you were going to get. And you thought that was good before you saw the rest of these people, right? Then I gave them exactly, I'm good to them. And now you mad? What you mad for? You got what you asked for, right? We got what we agreed on. That has to be our attitude. We look at other people's struggles. We look at other people's lives. And we'll say, you know what? I came from way back here. I had to go through this to find the truth and obey God. And it was a struggle for me. And my family didn't know this. You grew up knowing the Bible. You grew up. You always. it's just natural for you. Right? Me, not me. My family, devil worshippers and scientists and all this stuff. And I came out of all this stuff. And I had a struggle. I'd never catch a break and all these things. And they looking at it like, mine should be more valuable? No. That's not how God works. The Most High God just say, get to this point. This is what we agreed on. No matter how long it take you. Right? So this is going to be the parable we learned this week. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 45. Why is it important that we understand these parables? Let me ask it a different way. Who is the parables not given to? The great multitudes. What did the great multitudes do? They follow Jesus, right? What's the definition of a Christian? A follower of Christ, right? Right? So the reason he told the multitudes it was not given unto you. Who was it given to though? Disciples, right? So when we learn these parables, when we understand them, that means that the Most High God gave it to us. And if he gave it to us, that makes us disciples, right? So that's why we seek to understand it. That's all. My fault, go ahead. It's Matthew chapter 24, verse 45.
Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in that hour that he is not ware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
What is this parable telling us?
I'm saying that, think of it as a blessing if you're young and you come into the truth, you know what I mean? And you stay like that. Don't get weary and say, well, he ain't came yet, so I'm going to go do me right quick. I think I'm going to have enough time to get that. Yeah, because we don't know how much time it is. And actually, it is a blessing when you see young people that give their lives to Yahuwah and Yahshua to praise him and worship him, and follow and be a disciple. And then to just stay like that 20, 30 years, just living as a blessed disciple of Yahuwah or Yahshua. Versus, you cutting back and saying, okay, well, I got enough time, so I'm gonna do me, because at the end of the day, they're gonna get caught in their mess, and then they're gonna be stressing out and gashing teeth. And
he gonna sign him a portion with the hypocrites, right?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, absolutely, right. We look at this, and he's telling us to wait, right? What does the first part tell us? So let's read that first part one more time. It's verse 45.
Who then is a faithful and wise servant?
Right. He said, who is a faithful and a wise servant? What did he say?
Whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season.
Keep going.
Blessed is that servant.
Blessed is that servant.
When he cometh, shall find so doing.
So he said, if you keep doing what I left you doing, right? I told you to do this, and when I come back, you doing what I told you to do. He said, blessed is that servant. Let's see why.
Verily I say unto you.
He said, verily. What does verily mean?
For real. For real.
Right? He's saying, for verily I say unto you, right? For real. When I say this to you, keep going.
That he shall make him ruler over all his goods.
He said, I'm going to make you ruler over all my goods. Right? So the faithfulness that we have towards God, he comes back and he becomes faithful towards us. Right? Because this is what he told us. Right? He makes us rulers. Right? Who's the example? Who's the prime example of what he just offered there? Yahushua. Right? Yahushua was faithful. Right? He was faithful unto death. Right? And then what was he made ruler of? All of it. He take the whole pie. Right? He said the whole pie. Right? The man hung on the cross for us. Right? For sins he didn't commit. Right? Put himself up there, hung on the cross, died, and by doing that, what did we say he did?
Saved.
He saved us. He did what though? And so that what? The atonement, right? He paid our debt. So what does that mean for him?
He owns it.
He owns us. Right? Just the people that saved or the sinners too?
All of
them. He said he paid everybody debt, so he owns us. So that's how we get what? What comes as a result? Saved. What comes as a result though? What else?
The promise.
The promise. What comes as a result for the sinners?
He owned them too.
He owned them, but what comes as a result of his ownership? What can he do with them now?
Do whatever he want to do.
And what did he want to do?
Throw him in that fire.
Was it fire before Yahushua?
No.
You'll never read it unless it's prophesying about Yahushua. You'll never read about anybody dying and going to hell in terms of an eternal fire. Right? They had hell. Hell was Sheol though. Right? We think of hell now as an eternal fire, but you'll never see an eternal burning for anybody in hell. When you read the Old Testament, the scriptures, what it's telling us is you'll sleep. Period. Because that was it. You just died. That was it. It wasn't no coming back. It wasn't nothing. That was it. Right? When Yahushua come, he said, nah, new ownership. Right? I can do what I want with you. Right? I bring you back and you can live with me forever. If I don't like what you did, then I'm going to send you to hell. You have a better promise, which means a better punishment. Or a worse punishment, rather. Right? Because he's an equal God. He has to balance it out. Right? So now you don't just die. No, I'm going to give you something. Now, if you die and you die in my name, right? You die doing the things I left you doing. Well, then now I'll let you come with me. You know what I'm saying? We can run this whole thing. Right? I'll make you faithful. I'll make you a ruler over some of this. Right? But if you don't, well, I'm going to send you to hell now. You're going to burn forever. They're going to live forever. You're going to burn forever. Right? And that's what he offered us. Right? He set that on the table so that we'll see. Right? So we'll have fear of this side and we'll seek his glory on this side. Right? It has to be something in us that wants that though. Right? The Most High God puts that in us. All right? Keep going. Watch what he say next. And we'll get kind of into what Candace was talking about.
But, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not ware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
All right? So the man was sitting there like, man, he ain't going. Yeah, He been coming for the last. I mean, ain't that what they said? We're gonna take a detour. Let's go to first.
Where's the son of his
second? Yeah, 2 Peter chapter 3. Take a quick detour, real quick.
You said 2 Peter?
Yeah, 2 Peter chapter 3. And I'm probably looking for about verse maybe 5, 6, or 7, somewhere in there. You have to help me out, too.
Verse 4.
All right, so this is
It's funny that he uses the word hypocrite, though, right? Because
the
it
portion
means
with the
he
hypocrite.
started off this way, and everything was going good. And then all of a sudden, you wanted to do what the world was doing.
That's what happens, though. Right? We get
That
tired.
makes you a hypocrite, because how you gonna say you're so true and so devoted, and then you just not even backslide, but just totally was like, yeah, you know better.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna keep the thing you gave me to do.
It's
Right? That's what it
reject.
make you a
How
hypocrite.
do you accept and then willfully reject? It's a hypocrite.
It's impossible. We'll start at verse 3. Knowing this first.
So this is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 4.
3.
Verse 3. So this is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 3.
Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming?
He said, where's the promise? I mean, the man been promising he coming for a long time.
For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of
He
creation.
said, ain't nothing changed. What is that? First of all, what does that tell us about Yahushua? I mean, the man been promising to come for a long time. What does that tell us?
Taking his
He's
time.
definitely coming.
Tell us that too, because we
Yeah.
trust him, right?
Yeah.
What else does it tell us?
Taking his time.
I'm going to tell you what it tell me. That we all come from the same people, because I be late all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell it mean he black. The man been talking about he come. Revelation, go to Revelation chapter 22 real quick. I mean, we just going to take a little detour real quick. Revelation chapter 22. Just real quick. It's the last chapter in 22. The last chapter, last chapter in Revelations. And then give me about verse, what I'm looking for, probably about verse 12 maybe.
And behold, I come quickly.
He said, and behold,
I come quickly.
when was this book, when was this part of the book written? That's 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
He said, behold, I come when?
I come quickly.
What else?
And my reward is with me to give every man according to his work shall be.
We've been waiting on this man for 2,000 years. He said, I come quickly though. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, I'm right around the corner. Yeah, don't try, I'll be there. Right? We all come from the same people. That's what he's looking for. So now, just like us, man, Fillmore ain't going to show up. Right? He ain't showing up. That's the same thing we'll get into with him. I mean, he'll be here a little later.
God's time is different from ours.
Yeah, and that's what it is. If we kept on reading in Peter, it'd explain that to us. It'd say a day with us is like 1,000 to him and vice versa. Right? And that's what it is. But if we're not thinking that, right? If we don't understand the word, if we're not expecting him on his terms, right? Then we'll get into the mind like, man, we'll get to talking about what they're talking. Man, where's the promise of this coming? Been waiting for this man all day. Right? The same way we are with each other. Man, I've been waiting. You know what I'm saying? You talking about he coming around the corner? I know where the corner. I can walk to the corner and back and be back here before he get here. Right? So what you talking about? Right? And so we end up doing our own thing or trying to figure it out without him. Right? And that's what happens with God. Right? We're waiting for his son to return and we get to trying to figure it out. I don't know about this man. Right? Well, I'm just going, instead of on the Sabbath meeting up together, I'm going to just go ahead and hit, what is it, tile. How you name a club tile? I don't know what's wrong with these people.
It's Chinese, bro.
Oh.
Or something like that.
But that was really something wrong with it. How you going to name it after a Chinese name? Nobody speak it. What does it mean?
No.
See, it probably means something crazy.
Maybe the guy that made it was Chinese.
Ain't they the ones that got the worship night?
No, I don't know.
It's one of them things. Got a worship night. I saw it on the billboard. I said, oh, these people. These people all the way backwards.
Yeah. Worship Sundays, towel.
Yeah. That thing, I was like, these people are all the way backwards, bro.
Yeah, on that.
Let's go. Yep.
On that billboard.
That crazy stuff. Let's go to who remember where we left off last week? In our chronological reading. Esther, very good. We started off in Ezra and we read about King Ahasuerus and we figured out King Ahasuerus was also the king who was ruling in Esther's time. So we jumped over into the book of Esther. And what did we learn about Esther?
She took a year or 6 months.
She took a year. You got it right. Yeah, a year.
So she like cleansed herself with oils and stuff so she could be presented to him. I guess it was like a beauty pageant kind of thing.
Kind of like, yeah, kind of like that.
She got picked, but like you could pick whatever you want if the king wanted you.
Mm-hmm.
Or
when it was your turn.
Yeah, when it was your turn, you could pick whatever.
You can have whatever you want.
Whatever you guys gave me so far, it's like. Fine.
She said she good. She was like, I don't need nothing extra, right? You can imagine the rest of the girls like, yo, give me a little bit of makeup. Go ahead and give me that weave. Go ahead and give me these nails done. All this stuff. They're trying to get the extra. They said Esther turn. She was like, whatever y'all gave me already, that's sufficient, right? They gave her oils and all that stuff. She said the perfume and the oils, that's enough. We good. Right? I'm gonna go ahead and go in like this, right? What did we learn about that? What that example, right? Where else did we see that example?
About the braids.
About the braids and what else? Where did we learn? Where did we see talk about braids at?
It talked about like clothing and gold and.
Gold, yeah. It said the women should dress in modest apparel. Yeah, right. And this is 2 Timothy. Yeah, he said that we shouldn't adorn ourselves in these ways, right? In other words, we shouldn't dress like this to have people look at us. We should be looking for the favor of the Most High God, right? In the same way that the women in old times did, right? And that's what we look at. So now we have a woman in old times, which is Esther, and we saw that she was the example. When we have these New Testament writers, they're not just pulling stuff out of thin air. They're pulling from our people. They're looking at our history. They say, well, Esther was this way. Ruth was this way. Well, this is how our people should be, right? A lot of times if we get these little New Testament only books, we don't have that wealth of knowledge, right? And we miss a lot of these things, but this is history for us. And they just retelling it to us, revealing it to us in the New Testament, right? So now we're going to try to pick up where we left off with Esther. This is Esther chapter 2, probably about verse 15.
When I have a Bible without these things, I get places just fine. But when they're there, I'm like looking at them.
Oh, with the little tabs? Yeah, they're throwing you off, huh?
I can't even. I need to take them all off.
This is Esther chapter 2, verse, I think verse 15.
There it is. Okay.
Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is in the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
All right, so now Esther became the queen. All right, keep going.
Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces, and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her.
All right, so they didn't know Esther was a Hebrew. Right? They didn't know she was a Jew. That's my boy there.
That siren, the old school fire alarm, bro. You gotta crank that. That's what he sound like. For real. Like,
keep going for me.
Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
All right, so now two of the king's chamberlains, these are some of his counselors, all right, some of his main men. Right? So now they was coming up with a plan to lay hands on the king, to kill him. Right? To beat him up at least. Right? And so now they looking at it like, okay, so how are we going to do this? This, that, another. They coming up with a plan. Let's see what Mordecai did.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Right? So he certified the king in Mordecai's name. Right? So Mordecai told Esther. Esther came, told the king, and was like, Mordecai told me this. Right? So Mordecai, what did he do?
He saved the king.
Say the king. Right? He say the king. He snitched. What he really did. Right? But that's what we do. Right? Last time, we just been brainwashed and told all this stop snitching, stop lying. That's not us. We didn't start that stuff. That stuff came from the mob. Right? That was a lot of these Gentiles doing that stuff. That stuff didn't come from us. Right? They started that stuff, and then we tried to emulate them and try to do the things they did. So we came up with stop snitching, stop lying. But that was them. They didn't talk to no cops. All these mobs, all this organized crime. That's what we tried to emulate at first. All these gangs. Initially, we tried to be organized crime in our own way. And we just got a little wild because we're more wild people. Right? But all that stuff that came from them, we were trying to emulate. Go to Leviticus. Hold we got there. We're going to come right back. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 5. Most High God to show you where our people came from and how we used to be. This is going to be Leviticus chapter 5. Let's just start at verse 1.
5 verse 1.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll jump back into Esther. I think we finished, was that almost the last verse?
Almost, but not really.
It's Leviticus chapter 5, about verse 1.
And if thou sin a sin, and if a soul sin,
Mm-hmm. So he said, if a soul sins, if a person sins,
and hear the voice of swearing,
and he hear the voice of swearing,
and
or
is
an
a
oath.
witness,
Oh, okay, go, my fault.
whether he hath seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity.
He said, if he don't tell it, right? If he don't utter it, you seen it, you a witness, right? Or you heard it, and you don't tell it, then he gonna do what?
He shall bear his iniquity.
You a sinner too. You know somebody gonna sin, they talking about sinning, you know it's gonna happen, and you don't tell nobody, you a sinner too. That's somebody's life on the line. The king was about to die. What is Mordecai gonna do? Nah, ain't none of my business. I ain't no snitch. That's crazy. That's not us. Right? We all have to get it. That is not us. Our rappers, all our people do it. That didn't come from us. This is us. We snitches. Every last one of us. Somebody gonna lead us? No, please. I'm calling the cops right now. Right? That's how we have to live. We have to get out of all this brainwashing that these people put on us, and that not these people. And when I say these people, I'm not talking about white people. Right? I don't give no people that much credit to say they mastermind and control the whole people. This is the doing of the Most High God. Right? The Most High God put it on different people, white people, black people, our own people, all people, to condemn us. And for the iniquity of who? Our fathers, right? It was for the iniquity of our fathers. He promised that these things would happen to us. Right? So that's what we have to look at. We have to look at, well, these things, you don't put it on nobody. We look at this stuff, this is on us. So we just have to unbrainwash ourselves and get ourselves back into where we came from. Right? Back into the book. Right? That's where we came from. I'm not talking about Africa, right? We came from this book, right? We look into the book and we emulate what the book told us we were. Right? We don't have to be anything that these people tell us we are. White, black, Puerto Rican, anything. We don't have to be anything that anybody tells us that we are, unless tell them to prove it. Right? They tell you white. Tell them to prove you white. Right? What proof you got that I'm white? They tell you black. What proof? How you know I'm black? What is that? African American. What is an African American? Prove it. We never ask proof. We talk about being Hebrews, right? You go out just tell, you black, you're a Hebrew. Right? Are you a descendant of one of the slaves? You're a Hebrew. Why do you think how you know? Prove it. What you said? They're gonna look for proof. Why you didn't ask when they called you a Negro, right? On the census, right? And they told you to check that box and it said Negro. Why didn't you ask America to prove it to you? Why did you say, how you know I'm a Negro? What makes me a Negro? They just got us all back. They call us whatever they want. When we get to figuring out our true identity, we got to prove it to ourselves. I got proof for all of us. We ain't even going to get into it right now. I almost went into it. We can go all through Deuteronomy 28. Right? We can go all through that thing, just slap us over the head. It's us. He said this thing will be on you for a sign and a wonder. What's a sign?
Evidence.
It's evidence, right? A sign is somewhere you can signify this. He said these things will be on you for a sign. That's why these things are on us, so we can find our identity. Right? That's why we came over in ships into bondage. Right? That's why our children was taken from us and we couldn't do anything about it. We were powerless. Right? That's why he set the Grecians, right? The people of Javan against us. Right? All these things are for a sign for us. Where are we at? Keep going. Oh, we is in Leviticus. Let's get back over into Esther. We wasn't supposed to talk about being Hebrews tonight. We were supposed to talk about Esther. So this is Esther chapter, we pretty much finished chapter 2. So let's go to Esther chapter 3, about verse 1.
I told you I was going to start doing that. Anytime where I say African American, I draw a line right to it. And I write Hebrew Israelite.
That's crazy.
I do know.
No, I'm not saying that's crazy. I'm saying it's crazy that we accept being African American.
I find it disrespectful. Like,
where's Africa America?
Super disrespectful.
Where's that country?
The truth, when I see that, I find it disrespectful, and I just be like, no.
I hate other.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Africa.
Most recent others was like other.
This is Africa. This is America. Two whole continents, and they separated by a big old ocean, and they call us both of these things. Like, what is that? What type of stuff is that? That's crazy.
The black couple that lived in England or whatever, they was called African Caribbean, and they was like look just like us. So I was like,
because I mean,
how come they African Caribbean, we African American? We're obviously the same people. I'm looking at him. I know he's like me, but that's what they call them over there.
They make a fool out of us. Ain't no darn African. I'm a Hebrew. Right? I'm a Hebrew.
Yeah, I told the dude that one time.
By nation, I'm an Israelite. Right? Really a Jew. Right? By nation, I'm a Jew. Right? Salvation is of who?
The Jews.
The Jews. Right? Our Savior was a Jew. Right? That's what we look at. Right? Yehudi. Right? We said it in Hebrew. Alright, keep going.
He could tell I'm from West Manasseh though. You know,
he want to be from that West Manasseh so bad.
Is it? Okay, but another pronunciation of Elohim or Adonai is Yahuwah.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate. That's a sacred name.
Yeah, you look at it,
Holy name.
Jehovah, right? Jehovah, it's the same name, just mispronounced.
Right.
The J, so you have Yahuwah is really Jehovah. Well, I'm sorry, Jehovah is really supposed to be Yahuwah.
Right.
That's his name. For short, we say Yah, right? Because we read in what is it? Psalm chapter
64, 84,
68. This 68. Is Psalm chapter 68, verse 4. It'll tell us that his name is Yah, right? So that's a short version of his name. But yeah, his name is Yahuwah, right? That's his full name. That's the name that he gave originally to. He gave it originally. He said the name was first called, I think it was Genesis, at the end of Genesis 5, maybe end of Genesis 4, where they first began to call on the name of Yahuwah.
And you know what's funny? A lot of people don't even know his true name, but it says in the scripture that they will know me by my name.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so just even being chosen and being in that much of a one accord with the Holy Spirit and, you know, living my life and paying attention to be able to find that out and have that brought to me, you know, was a blessing. I'm like, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Piece by piece. Piece by piece. He gonna get us together.
Yeah.
Piece by piece. We just have to have the patience to sit there and get it. That's all.
Yeah.
Right? Not get to the point where like, man, this man ain't coming. Right? Where the promise of his coming been so long.
And then not to be stuck or stubborn in our ways, because, you know, I have an uncle and, you know, he's a great person, all around good person, you know, and is really, you know, a spiritual guy. But, you know, when you start talking to them about the Sabbath versus Sunday, it gets stuck in their ways and they don't know how to. Yeah.
In the other room. Mine too. She's choosing to watch. Like she's watching. It's a 60-second delay, so I have a little while before she come in here. But yeah, the same way, right? Me and my mom brought me up into the word, right? Or you know what I'm saying? And she did the best she could with what she knew, right? She'd been taught lies. They had taught lies before her, right? So she did the best she could. So when I started looking to the Bible, I stopped believing crazy stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know. I might look into what the Muslims talking about. Because I was like, all this stuff is crazy to me. But when I start looking into the Bible and I come back asking the questions, we had to have a lot of battles. And through the things that we talked about and debated, the Most High God taught me a whole lot. All right? He taught me a whole lot. So now it's just a matter of trying to explain those things in a way that my mom will accept it. But it's difficult, right? Because one, I'm her son, right? And two, the things we've been doing it for so long, right? She's been going to church since she was 18, I think, right? And so it's for so long, it's a lot to let go of. So it's just like you said, being stuck in your way. It's a lot when you're in it and you're that committed to something that you have always believed is real. And nobody can make you but not believe it's real. Who's to make you? It's not like Jesus gonna come up, hey, I'm the Lord Christ, right? Stop believing it that way and believe it this way. It doesn't happen, right? So it's he said, she said.
But you got to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to lead you and guide you and confirm things for you in the Word. That's what we have to do. Yeah. Most of all, we have to obey what the Word is saying, yeah. Right? Because that's what he did. He said he'll send. He said he'll send a man to teach it to us, right? That's what the Word teaches us, right? He's gonna send a man. He said, how do you know unless you have a preacher that's sent, right? So he's gonna send men to teach it to us. We have to be able to, like she said, be humble, not be stuck in our ways, be able to adjust, right? Be able to look at something and be like, you know what? I think you might be onto something here. And be able to adjust with all humility. Just be like, okay, well, let's change, right? I did it this way for 20 years. Now, for 21 years, I'm changing, though. Right? Before I hit 21, I'm changing, though. I can tell you that for sure. Right? It has to be, when we get it, we have to be able to walk in it, period. That's it. That's all he's looking for. When I give it to you, can you walk in it? Right? This is Esther chapter 3. This is about verse 1. This is Esther chapter 3, verse 1.
After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
So why do you think the king promoted Haman?
Because he just probably got rid of his...
he had two people that he trusted was about to kill him. Haman was the man. He said, no, you my number 2 now, Haman. He promoted, he said, watch my back. Right? You got 2 people that was in my crew about to kill me. Haman, why don't you, let's go ahead, let me promote. I got rid of them. Why don't you come over here, you know what I'm saying? You my number 2 man now. Look what he did for Haman.
The Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above the princes that were with him.
So he set his seat above the princes that were with him. Right? So he is the number 2 man. All right, keep going.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
So the king commanded what?
That they should bow to him.
And then do what?
And give him reverence.
And show reverence, right? So you have to bow and show reverence to Haman.
Reverend Haman.
All right, you have to bow and show reverence to Haman. The king commanded it. But what did Mordecai do?
In our country, it's not so.
What did Mordecai do? Let me see.
He didn't bow. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
All right, he said Mordecai didn't bow, nor did he do him reverence. Why didn't Mordecai bow and give him reverence?
Because
it's against our law.
Worshiping an idol or false god. That's only the worship or giving reverence and bowing to Yahuwah, not a man.
That's what we would think, huh? Yeah. That's not the case, though. Right? You remember Abraham? Abraham bowed, didn't he? Right? Isaac, you remember Isaac? He bowed to people. Jacob bowed to people. All our people bow. We bow to our kings.
Your mom, she said, "Shut up."
You see, I told you it was about a 60-second delay. You know we bow, right? Our people have always bowed to people. But when we look at it, because we have the history haven't been taught to us. We've been in these churches, the history haven't been taught to us, right? So we bow to all people, and it's never been a problem, right? We bow even to our own people. It's never been a problem to show reverence to people or bow. That doesn't mean we worshiping them, right? But a lot of times that's what we'll get out of this. Let me show you why he didn't bow, though. First of all, read about verse 2 again. Is it verse 2 or verse 1? Go start at verse 1. We're just going to read it one more time.
After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes. He said he was a what? Agagite. He is an Agagite.
Did that ring any bells for us? It should for us because we've been through all this.
Agagite. I heard of the Agagite. The Amorite.
Is there somebody named Agag?
Agag.
Agag.
Did that ring a bell?
Anak.
If y'all get it, we don't have to go to it.
Just small hints.
Now, I'm not stuck on stupid, and I'm not stuck on Sunday. I'm not stuck on the Sabbath. But if you read in Hebrews, it's you move from the shadow. You have a shadow. If you watch the sun and you watch your shadow can actually tell you things to come, but it's not really you. It's just your shadow. So it tell you can, if you standing behind something and someone see your shadow, they can see you move. They can see all kind of things about you.
We're going to cover this tomorrow.
All of that, what we learned in the Old Testament, it doesn't change anything. He's the same God. He's going to stay the same God. But you got to enter into his rest. And his rest is, and if you follow the scriptures, eventually you will know that he said he is spirit, first of all. And that he is not known by anything we want to call him by. He is God. And he's known by love. That's second. That's actually first. But that's second because he is spiritual. Now, if you really understand the Christ in God, then you also know that you enter into his Sabbath rest. It isn't something that I told you that a long time ago. That if you enter into his Sabbath rest, you trust him with everything about who you are and what you're going to be. It's in him. We can do all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, what he is, we are becoming through Christ. And if we don't trust him to do that, you don't really enter into his rest. You got to know who he is. And I'm done.
All right.
Now, and I'm going to go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm going to keep going.
All right.
Okay?
Well, you enjoy yourself. We going
to be in the Sabbath rest.
Okay.
Okay?
So, all right, Mom. We'll cover some of the things you're talking about. All right, a lot of times what happened is a lot of things would be thrown out, and it almost sounds like we all saying the same thing, right? But it's little key things, right? When you talk about Sabbath rest, now it's, well, technically because I obey, this is a spiritual Sabbath rest. Every day is the Sabbath, right? And it turns into that type of thing where this is not actually what the Bible teaches, right? So we'll get into it. We'll cover tomorrow. I'll make an extra video and we'll cover some of these things, talking about the Sabbath, right? But we'll continue on now, right? We have Esther, right? And so what verse were we at?
2.
Oh wait, we want to talk about Haman. He was a what? Agagite, right? We're trying to remember who was Agag, right? So then we're gonna go to 1 Samuel chapter 15.
I ain't read Samuel forever. Of course I'm not gonna remember.
Huh?
I ain't read Samuel in a long time.
Chapter 14.
Chapter 15.
I don't know this.
What was happening at the time? I want to know.
God was working.
First Samuel what? I wonder if it's one
Chapter
of the
15.
people
Is that
they
that one
told
time
us.
when we were reading Kings and stuff?
Nah, it's Samuel.
1 Samuel 15.
1 Samuel 15. What you gonna say, Candace?
What verse?
We're gonna do about verse 6. Verse 6.
I was wondering if it was one of the people that he had commanded the Hebrews to go into their village and just wipe them out or destroy them.
You're right on. Let's hear about it. This is First Samuel chapter 15.
Go ahead, girl.
And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them.
Oh, so we got to back up some more. Why is he trying to destroy the Amalekites?
Okay, well, we already know.
You said 1 Samuel
Where you
chapter
at?
15.
This is 1 Samuel chapter 15.
Well,
Let's let T tell us. We'll still read. Matter of fact, while we turn and Tia tell us, we're gonna go to Deuteronomy. So we're gonna hold here. Sorry, we gotta come back to. We gotta understand first why the Amalekites got to get destroyed, right? Otherwise, we're not gonna understand who Agag is, and then we're not gonna understand why Haman didn't get bow down to get reverence.
well, the Amalekites were the people when we were
Turn to
coming
it while
out
you're
of
doing it. It's Deuteronomy
Egypt.
chapter 25. So what happened?
When we were coming out of Egypt and Moses was leading us, the Amalekites would attack the rear, like the weakest of our people,
Exactly.
where the women and children were trailing. And that's how they hit us with a couple of surprise attacks, and God told us to wipe them out because of that.
All right, watch what the Most High God said to us. This is Deuteronomy chapter 25, about verse 17. Watch what he told us here. This stuff is beneficial to us, right? When we know our history, then we understand just the small, intricate details, because it's all here, right? It's all here, but it gets missed because we haven't been taught this stuff. right? So the Most High God saw fit that he teaches us now, right? He's showing us this stuff. I tell y'all all the time, one of the reasons why I have somebody read for me, and then I read because I never want my voice to be confused with the word of God, right? I want it to be a distinction. I say this, you hear the word. That way, if I say something that's just wild, doesn't make sense, we can all think in our mind, even if we don't say nothing, right? Even if out of respect, you don't say that, even though I'm saying, you ever think I'm saying something wrong, no respect, just call it out, right? It's for my edification, right? But even if you don't say nothing, you can have it in your mind. That don't sound like what T just read, right? That's different, right? It's important that we hear the word and we separate the word. We set the word apart, all right? That was Moses' problem, right? Moses didn't set the Most High God apart. He didn't sanctify him, right? And that means that he didn't believe him. All right, that's what Most High God charged him with. So we always want to make sure that we hear the word and we understand the word. And now the Most High God, when he teaches, when I get something, right, I learn something. The Most High God reveals something to me. I tell y'all this all the time. I can guarantee it. He's not doing it for me, right? He's not doing it so I know something. He's doing it because now I've taken on the position to teach people, right? So they say it in school all the time. The teacher is only as good as the students. That's really the truth with God. Right? The only reason he's showing it because y'all need to know. Right? That's the reason why he'll give it to me. And he'll get rid of me. He's done it before with people in the Bible. Right? He's done it before. He'll let him run the course. We had a prophet, right? Remember the prophet? Who remember the prophet that went into Israel? Right? And then he spoke a prophecy against Jeroboam. Right? Jeroboam, his arm withered. Right? Then he told the prophet, don't you go back the same way that you came, and don't you sit and eat with nobody. Then another prophet came to him and was like, no, you know what I'm saying? God told me that you could come sit and eat. What did he do with that prophet?
Prophet. He listened to him and he went. And
that was it. Most High God got right with him. Lion ate him up.
Yeah.
Right? He said he buried his bones. He said in the other prophet, he said, man, this man, his word was true. Right? His word was true. Didn't take away from him being a prophet. Most High God still got rid of him because he didn't do what he said. He'd do the same thing to any teacher. Anybody who preaching the word. It doesn't matter. If you don't obey, no matter who you are, what you are, you don't get no pass. He'll get right rid of me. Right? As soon as he done teaching y'all. Y'all got enough information. All right, he good. We'll send somebody else to teach them. Right? So we have to understand this is a special thing that he's doing. Not anything because of me. He's doing something special because of us. Right? That we're looking here. We're sitting down on a Friday night in Las Vegas to hear word. That's special. Right? That's not a small thing. This is a special thing that he has going. And he's just growing, and we're not the only group. Right? We talk a lot about a lot of these other people being wrong, but the truth is we're not the only ones, even if we haven't met them. It's people. I was telling y'all that I was looking at who watches on YouTube. We had somebody in Guatemala, right? I think it was last week. We have a lot of people in the UK, not a lot, but we got some people in the UK watching, right? The people who came to visit us. It was people when Mayweather was fighting. It was some people who came to visit from the UK, right? And they came in here, heard the word real quick, and we watched the fight all together. Right? This is a special thing going on. Right? We have to take it serious. We can't just sit here, walk out of here, and do whatever we want. We sit here, we learn the word, and we conform our life to it. Right? We learn our history, and we apply it. All right? So this is some of our history. This is Deuteronomy chapter 25. This is probably about verse 17.
Mm-hmm. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way.
So he said, remember what?
What Amalek did.
What Amalek did. Right? The Amalekites. So this is what Amalek did.
By the way, where ye were come forth out of Egypt, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God.
Right?
Therefore,
so who was behind us?
Women and children.
The women and children. How do we know that? Good.
That's how we were told to go, right?
That's how that not necessarily told. Who we got that from though? Now you good. You on the right track. That's good. I didn't think she was gonna get that one. Jacob, right? Remember? Oh, let's get it. This Genesis chapter 33. So we going all the way back now.
All our fingers gonna be full.
That's all right. We gonna come all the way back forward too. So we going all the way back. We got to figure out where did we get that from, right? Where did we get putting the hindermost, the weaker people behind us? Who taught us that? All right. This is Genesis chapter 33, verse 1. This is our father Jacob. Watch what he did. This is Genesis chapter 33, verse 1.
What was we just said? Deuteronomy?
This is Deuteronomy. That was Deuteronomy chapter 25. I think we started about 17. And now we on Genesis chapter 33, verse 1. Watch what we get out of this.
And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the 2 handmaids.
So why did he divide the children when Esau came?
He didn't want them to kill them all.
He was scared of Esau.
Was coming to attack.
Yeah, he thought Esau was coming to get that butt. Yeah. Right? So he was looking like, oh no. So what did he do?
He looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men, and he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids.
Right, so he divided it. Remember, he had 4 women that he had children by. So he said he divided unto Leah, right? Then Rachel, and then to the other two handmaids. Right, so he divided all the children. That's 4 different people, ways that he divided it. Watch what he did with these people.
And he put the handmaids and the children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost.
Right, so he said, I put the handmaids and Leah, put them in the front. I put Rachel and Joseph, that's my boy, and Rachel is the woman I love the most, right? He put her all the way in the back. And then let's see where he got.
And passed over before them and bowed himself.
He passed over where?
Before them.
So he went in front of them. He put them, the women and the children, behind them. The ones he loved the most, he put all the way in the back. The ones that he loved the most, he put all the way in the back. So now let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 25. Let's see if this makes a little bit more sense now.
Is that like kind of like the last shall be first kind of thing as well?
That does tie into that, right? That does tie into that. He loved the last. He loved the last a lot more. They was first in his heart, right? So he put them last. That does tie in. That was a good one. That was a good catch. That's the type of mind we have to have when we look at this word. Where does it connect at? What precept did this go? What line does this go with?
25:17.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17, just in case the people watching in didn't hear it. We're going back to Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17.
Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindermost of thee, even all that were feeble, and behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God.
Right? So we got that from Jacob, to put our feeble behind us, right? The weak, right? The ones we love, we put them behind. So let's see how God responded to that when this happened.
Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
He said you should kill them all. Blot them out. Right? This is the Most High God telling us. Right? Blot them out. Get rid of all of them. Right? Keep going.
That's the end of the chapter.
That's the end of it? All right. So he said, what's the very last part of that verse?
Thou shalt not forget it.
He said, thou shalt not for what?
Forget it.
He said, don't you forget. Ever. Right? He said, you shall not forget.
Yeah, Esther called him an Agagite, though. That threw me off.
So let's see why he called him an Agagite. Let's go back to 1 Samuel chapter 15. Right? So we learned about the Amalekites. We ended up learning about the Amalekites because we went to 1 Samuel and they said King Saul that he was going to go destroy all the Amalekites. So first we wanted to figure out where the Amalekites come from. So we went back to Deuteronomy, learned about the Amalekites, and we saw that we put our people in the hindermost. So we had to figure out why we do that. So we went back to Genesis to figure out where we got that from. Then we learned that we put the hindermost, the weak, the feeble. Right? So we went back to Deuteronomy and figured out, okay, what happened? As a result of them attacking our weak and feeble, God told us to get rid of all of them, blot them out, and don't forget. Right? He told us, don't forget. Right? And so then, now we're going back to 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 6, maybe?
And Saul said to the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt.
But let's see who he spared, though.
And he took Agag.
He took who?
Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword.
All right, so he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, and took him alive. Right? But he utterly destroyed all the people with the sword. Killed all the Amalekites that was there. But he kept the king, what's his name? Agag. So let's go on back to Esther chapter 3, verse 1, and let's try to see if this makes a little bit more sense now.
So
Yeah, that's how a lot of these nations started.
That's how all these nations started.
Yeah, Esau is Edom.
Right? What was the name? What was the name of our father?
Israel.
His name was Jacob. He changed his name to Israel, and we're Israelites. Right? Esau. His name was also Edom, and then you have Edomites. Right? That's how all these people, everyone that you see, Moab. There was a man named Moab.
Moabites.
Right? And they became the Moabites. Right? All these people, every one of them. Right? Even Egypt. Right? They changed the name, but his name was Mitzrayim. Right? Mitzrayim, same thing. Right? He was the son of Canaan. Right? Yeah. And the Canaanites even. Right? There was a man named Canaan, and he became the Canaanites. So all these nations, they came from people's names. Right? Everything.
Then the guy, African America, he was
Why are you joking though? There's a man, Africanus, that Africa was named after. Right? He's a white man though, but he's African or a European man. But his name was Africanus. I forgot his first name. That's where Africa gets their name from.
Ain't that the one spelled with 2 A's? Like, it's like AFRIKAAN?
I don't know.
It's African and there's African. There's like one spelled with 2 A's.
Back then, the land of Africa wasn't really called Africa, was it? Yeah, I think so.
No, they didn't call it Africa back then. They didn't start calling it Africa until he took over a lot of stuff. But this is Esther chapter 3, verse 1. This is Esther chapter 3, verse 1. All right, so we figure out now that Agag was the king over the Amalekites. And the Amalekites, they attacked our hindermost, and we kept our hindermost in the back because they were the most feeble and they were our loved ones, right? The women and the children, right? So this is what we all figured out. And then he told us not to forget. He said never to forget. So when it comes time for Haman to be promoted, let's see if Mordecai forgot.
After these things did Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Y'all know something else y'all didn't catch?
What?
My fault. I'm sorry. I apologize, y'all. We're going to hold what we got. Go back to Genesis chapter 33. Watch this. Then we're going to turn right back. Genesis chapter 33, maybe verse 2. Maybe verse 3.
Then he put the handmaids and their children foremost, Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground.
He did what?
Passed over.
He passed over and what else?
Bowed himself to the ground.
Who was he bound to?
His brother.
So our people bowed. Right? Our people bowed. Now let's go back to Esther chapter 3, verse 2.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
And why do we know he did that?
Because he was an Amalekite.
He didn't forget. He said, I ain't forgetting. The Father told us not to forget.
That's crazy.
He said, don't play. I'm not forgetting. He said, I've been keeping the commandments since I was a young boy. He said, please, I'm not forgetting. Nah, you don't get no reverence from me. No bowing. You a Amalekite. You lucky I don't come chop off your head right now. That's command. That's book. I can do that.
He could do it, huh?
Right? That's book. Well, no, he can't because he under a king that said he can't.
Oh, okay.
Right? So there's a little conflict there. So he'd have to obey with the king, the laws of that king. Right? But he said, I ain't got to bow. Because now you going directly against what the Most High God said. He said, no, we good. All right? Let's see what happened. Keep going.
Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand.
And how you think Haman felt about that?
Pretty upset. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
He said, oh, he's a Jew. You think Agag didn't know? I mean, the Agagite, you think Haman didn't know? He's like, oh, you a Jew. Y'all been at our hands for forever. So let's see. Let's go to Esther. We're going to jump over to Esther chapter 6.
They beefing now. You ain't even from my hood.
Right? Haman ended up, we're going to skip over some of it. Haman, what he ended up doing is he ended up, if we kept on reading down in that chapter, he ended up setting up something with the king where he can kill all the Jews. Yeah. Right? Every single one. He said in every province. He said, I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. He said 10,000. What was it? 10,000.
I forgot.
10,000 pieces of silver or gold. Right? He said, I'll pay for the whole thing out of my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Just let the Jews all be killed. King was like, I don't care nothing about no Jew. Right? That's what you said. I mean, it's my right hand man. Right? Whatever you say, go ahead and go with it. He didn't know his wife was a Jew. Remember, she didn't give her people. Right? She didn't know. So he just like, do what you do. All right, go ahead and get them. You know what I'm saying? What you talking about? So he set up a thing. They cast lots. That's where we get Purim from. What does pure mean? Purim. What does it mean? I was about to say, we learn about it every year when we celebrate it. It's casting lots. Right? So he cast lots until he landed on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. Right? He landed on that day. And then once he said it, he said, this is the day that I'm going to kill all the Jews. That's what Haman did. Right? It ended up turning around. That's where we get Purim. Right? Because after it turned around, we start celebrating the 14th and the 15th day of the 12th month. Right? Because it ended up turning around. It ended up being a day where we are allowed to attack and kill everybody who wanted to kill us. Everybody who signed up saying, okay, I'm a part of this army to kill the Jews. They gave us, the king ended up turning around through Esther and through the grace of the Most High God to turn around where we can attack them legally. Right? This was all lawful under the king. The king gave a decree. All right? This is Esther chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 1. We'll just keep reading down until it's sufficient. It's Esther chapter 3. Esther chapter 6, I'm sorry.
On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king.
Right? If we kept reading in chapter 2, after Mordecai snitched, it was written, right? They said they recorded it that Mordecai, he saved the king. And they recorded it inside of the Chronicles. So now it's just a random night, the king bored. He's like, man, read to me some history. Right? Give me something out of the history books and let's see what they read.
And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
So Haman walking in the door, right? King just got done learning about how Mordecai saved him, right? Haman walking in the door, he walking through the court. He getting his speech together. You know what I'm saying? Look, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell the king just like this. That Mordecai character, we just need to go ahead and hang him. So he getting it together, about to tell the king, we need to go ahead and hang him. King reading about how this man saved him. So watch what the king do.
And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court.
Right, so they told him, oh, Haman, he's in the court. So look with the king.
And the king said, let him come in.
He said, bring him on in here.
So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor?
Right? King didn't even give him a chance to ask nothing. He was like, I need to ask you a question. The king wants to delight to honor somebody. What do you think should happen to him? So what do you think Haman thinking right off the bat? Oh, the king must want to delight me. You know what I'm saying? I'm the king's second in command. The king, what you want to do for me, king? So let's see how Haman play it off.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to honor more than to myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head, and let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of the one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with all whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him to horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
So Haman, he is like,
laid it all out.
If you want to honor somebody, who you want to honor more than me? If you want to honor somebody, bring out the nice fit. The good clothes. Bring them things out. Bring out the donkey. The horse? He said, bring out the horse. All right, bring that thing out. Bring your most noble prince. The famous one, the one that everybody know. Have him walk around with him and proclaim it. This is the one. He said, this is what should be done for the man that the king want to honor. So now watch what happened.
Then the king said to Haman, Make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
King said, oh, well, you the most noble prince, right? What's a prince? A ruler, right? Not a son of a king. A prince is a ruler, right? He said, you're the most noble ruler, right? So he said, good idea. I like where you're coming from. Go ahead and do it, and don't let anything fail what you said. Do it to Mordecai. How do you think Haman feel about this? Keep going.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, This shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife, and all his friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
He said, you shall not prevail against him, and you shall surely fall before him. That's what's set out for us, right? That's what's set out for us. If we stick to what the Most High God said, if we are what? Thinking about our parable.
The faithful servant.
If we are a faithful servant. He said, I'll make you ruler. You know how this story ends? Mordecai became ruler. Right? He became ruler. He took Haman's spot. This is what happens to us if we remain faithful. Right? It's a whole lot of other stuff that went down that we kind of skipped over. Mordecai was in sackcloth and ashes when he found out his people was all about to die. Sitting out there in front of the king's gate, couldn't even go in because nobody who wore sackcloth and ashes could go into the king's gate. So he had to sit outside the gate, sitting there mourning and crying, fasting and weeping. Right? He had tough times. He thought they was all about to die, but he never lost the faith. He said, well, either way, I'm still going to do what I'm saying. When we say faith, a lot of times we think of faith as just believing that everything is going to be all right. That's not faith. Right? What's faith?
The evidence.
Nope.
Huh?
Well, yeah, but you... Okay.
What? Faith is the substance of things unseen.
All right. Faith is the
Substance
of
of
things
things hoped for.
Evidence of things unseen.
right. Absolutely. Evidence of things not seen. So he said, this is what faith is. And where does faith come from? Hearing, and then hearing from what? The word of God. So you can't just believe, well, you know, I really just want this ceiling fan to spin faster, and I believe it will. There ain't no faith. That's nothing. Right? You can believe whatever you want. He's saying faith comes from the word. You have to believe what the word says. Right? And if it's if you can't see it, and it's the substance of something you can't see, it's the evidence. What's the evidence that you believe the word? Action. He said the wind bloweth. That's very good. He said the wind bloweth where, this is John chapter 3. He said the wind bloweth where it wants. Right? And you hear it, but you can't see the wind. Right? So all you have is the evidence that the wind came. You can't see no wind. You don't know if the wind coming. He said, so is the spirit. He said, like so is the spirit in every man. We don't know who got the spirit. The only thing we can do is see the residual, the evidence of the spirit on the people. That's why James can tell us, you show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. Evidence. That is my faith. Right? The only way I can show you my faith is by my works, because faith is the substance of things and the evidence of things you can't see it. The only way I'm going to show it to you is by my works. That's the evidence. Right? And that's what Mordecai said. He had the evidence. He believed. He didn't necessarily believe that he was going to live. That ain't in the book. Right? That wasn't in the book at his time. He wasn't looking at no book talking about no matter what, you're always going to be alive. That's crazy. He was looking like we might die. Even in my death, though, I'm going to do what the Most High God told me to do. Period. That's it. And the Most High God turned the whole situation around for him because he was faithful. Right? That's what he'll do for us if we remain faithful. Right? That's what we have to do. Remain faithful. And that parable, that becomes a reality for us. Right? That's the understanding that he gives us of it. All right? Any questions? We good then. Let's go ahead and pray out if we ain't got no questions.